we're gonna be doing a coloring chat, talking about what do you want to be remembered for? What's the legacy of you? What's your legacy? The record of you that you ever even existed? So we're just gonna reflect on some of those things today. We're gonna be coloring Remy, we're gonna be coloring Tabascus, and we're gonna be coloring Ducky from Sus y Sueños coloring book, and it's available on Amazon. We're not gonna be here forever. Like, what record do you want there to be of you? I was thinking the other day, for our generation, will the record of us be like, okay, so I think like there's gonna be this barren wasteland planet, and somehow like the internet still works. So you know how, and this is really weird, maybe I'm the only person who thinks this. If you were watching the Turner Classic Movie Channel, and it's all these black and white movies, and there's all these people, it's like, all these people are probably like dead now. That's terrible. But like, I don't know if y'all ever be watching like black and white movies and you think something like that. I don't know, that just came across my mind sometimes when I watch those movies. And so like, the record of our generation is just gonna be hundreds of years from now. People are gonna go to YouTube and just find random channels of like those weirdo millennium people. You know? So maybe that's like our generation's record, is like social media and all the cringy Facebook posts from like 2009 that people made and stuff like that. That's definitely like really embarrassing. Is that what you want to be remembered for? Like every single thought that ever came across our minds that we posted on social media. So you gotta think like, the stuff I'm posting, is that something that I can be proud of? Me, I'm one of those people who like doesn't use social media as a diary. And I'm not being a hater, but I don't want to do that. I never want to say, like, I'm very precious with my words. I think I said this before. I don't want to say something or write it down and then not be able to stand by it like a day from now, a week from now, a year from now. That sort of thing matters to me. So if I'm ever feeling like emotional or something like that, or I want to process my mind and my emotions my own self and not write that down or type it up on Instagram or something like that. But I've always just been like that. But I just think that's really important, so people know who you are and what you were like, anything about you at all. I want people to know what I was like, because like I think about that sometimes. Like I just think about all the people that existed that we don't know anything about them. We don't know their names, we don't know anything about them, just nothing. Like there's probably just so many amazing people that we don't know anything about them because nobody ever wrote it down, or nobody ever took a picture of them or painted them, I don't know. That sort of thing. But it's just sad. I just think about that, all the people that existed that aren't here anymore, and we just don't know anything about them or even their name. Like that's really sad. And it makes me think of that movie Coco. The Disney Pixar Coco movie. And in the movie, spoiler alert, when you don't have the picture to put on the ofrenda anymore, the person, they don't exist anymore. It's so sad. There was a scene in that movie where, I don't remember the characters' names because I saw it years ago and I only saw it one time because I knew I cried so hard during that movie that I couldn't watch it again. But the guy that was with Miguel in the spirit world, he had a friend. And he was like sick and like glowing or something like that. And all the people who he used to know when he was living like forgot about him or had like also moved on. And then there was nobody like alive to remember him or anything about him anymore or have his picture. And then he just like disappeared from even the spirit world. Like that was so sad. That scene got me bad. And for the longest time, I just didn't even take pictures of myself because I just didn't really care. And I think I didn't really care because for a long time I didn't feel like I like looked like myself, which I guess is kind of crazy. But like my clothes I was wearing, my hairstyle had, and I just didn't feel like I looked like myself for the longest time, so I just didn't take pictures for a long time. But yeah, that scene got me bad. I was crying really bad at that scene. And thinking about the Coco movie, it just makes me think like, even memories aren't permanent. And I have it's kind of a quote, I guess. I put it in quotation marks because I wanted to say it verbatim to you, so I'm gonna read it to you now. When you're not here to give me new memories, I can go to this thing you did, video, etc., and part of you still exists or is still here. Like, that's one of the scariest things about, I guess, connecting to other people, getting close to people, caring for people, having love for people, is like, eventually, you know, or maybe worry like something will happen to them. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I think of this, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking it particularly about my grandma. Because she's like an old lady. And, you know, eventually she's not going to be around anymore. And even when I was younger and growing up and being little, like, that was always like a big worry in my mind. Like, ugh. And I would be like on the phone talking to her, and when I was younger, and when we had to say bye, I would always cry so much because I was like, I just really care about this little old lady and I don't want anything to happen to her, and I, you know, want her to be around all the time forever. I would get emotional like that. So when I was thinking about this, that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about it about my grandma. And I can say the same for myself. Like, I think that's why I'm making these vlogs. That's part of the reason why I'm making these vlogs. Because, one, I like having a space where I can express myself and my thoughts and say what's on my mind and what's in my heart. And just my platform to just be me and not have any like censorship or gatekeepers telling me like that I can't say something or what to say. I don't think I say anything crazy, but I don't know. So when it's like holly jolly season or like her birthday or something like that, I try to like make a little vlog or a video or something like that, just so whenever that does happen, there'll be some record that, you know, she existed and she's a cool person, so, you know. Yeah, so that's what I think about when I was thinking about that quote. But I was saying, I can say the same for myself, because as an artist, like cartoon, I want it to be like a million people see it, more than a million people. Like it already has such an impact in the world. And with things like art, people who appreciate my art are gonna want to know what I'm like, what I was like, you know? They're gonna want to know, like, I don't know, philosophy of me, or what I sound like, what I talk like, just something about me. So that's part of the reason why I'm making these vlogs and I'm making my dreams podcast, because then people can go to it and be like, oh, that Iyona Sansiove person, I love their art and I love like who they are, I love them. That might be silly, but I just think it's important to just document that I'm here and that I exist and that I existed, to those people hundreds of years from now who will find this YouTube channel. So the next thing we're going to talk about is being famous. And at the time of recording this video, I'm not famous. But we're going to talk about it anyway. Did I always want to be famous? You know, when I was younger, it wasn't a thing like everybody wanted to be a celebrity, because it wasn't as accessible as it is now to just get on YouTube and talk or have these big platforms where you can be yourself and have like supporters and stuff like that or whatever. When I was younger, I didn't want to be famous. I just wanted to make art. And I always knew that was what I wanted to do, but just from society saying like, oh, you can't like make money doing that, or like you're not gonna be able to like live and support yourself and eat and everything if you're like just an artist or whatever. So then I still was making my art, but it was like not a career thing in my mind, I guess. But it still mattered to me the most. So to answer the question, no, I did not always want to be famous, because to me, like, that has to have some value. Like, what do you want to be famous for matters to me. Like, what the for part matters to me. So no, I wouldn't just want to be famous without a why or without a reason. I will say too, like when I was younger, I would always see like all these kids on the news like talking about stuff they were interested in and talking about stuff that they liked and just like being so happy and being celebrated, and I would watch that sort of thing when I was younger as a little kid, and I was like, hey, like I'm important and special too. I want to be on the news. Like how come they're not like having me on there talking about stuff? And I'm gonna get emotional. But so that's probably really weird, but like yeah, as a kid I was like, hey, they got all these kids on the news, like I want to be on the news, like talking about stuff I like or my talents or whatever. And then I remember like when I was in elementary school, I think this was like the 4th grade or the 5th grade, we had like news at our school, like the morning announcements, and they would like, it would be like a video and it would be 2 kids and they would say all the morning announcements for the school and everything, and all the TVs in the classrooms would be on this, like it would be live on there, so all the whole school can see that who the 2 kids were that were the reporters talking about it, and they were kids from my school because it was the school news. And I remember I had wanted to be on there and they like didn't pick me to be on there, and I was like, that like bothered me as a kid because I was like, well, how come I'm not able to do it? Like, ugh, I don't know. That sort of thing really bothered me. I just feel like as a kid, like I had so much to say and like had this like really big desire to just talk and be seen, and oh my gosh, get a grip. I don't know. I just think like I always had something to say and I always wanted to share it, and I always like wanted to have some kind of audience, I guess, to just talk about what mattered to me and what matters to me and what I cared about, and you know, that sort of thing. So I've always felt that way, even as a kid. So yeah, I was like, that's just so crazy. Like, how come all these other kids get to be on the news talking about all this stuff that they like, and I don't get to be on the news talking about stuff I like, you know? So the next thing I want to talk about is infamy. And I do not want infamy at all, not at all whatsoever. Like, who wants negative attention? That's crazy to me. Who would want negative attention? That's just crazy. So I don't understand that infamy thing. I don't understand it. There's a saying, negative attention before no attention, and I don't agree with that at all. Like, I don't want negative attention ever. Like for anything. You know, I would rather nobody hearing nothing from me at all, or just being alone in a corner somewhere before I had negative attention. So infamy is not for me. Infamy is not for me. It's never worth it. Like, if you think you're gonna get somebody's attention by like doing something bad or like out here hurting people, that's not it. That's not it at all. Like, you really gotta go to therapy or something and get that under control, because that's unacceptable. So no, I don't want to be infamous. I want to be like goody two shoes, famous, good for good things. Yeah. But yeah, I would rather just not even nobody paying any attention to me at all before I wanted infamy or having negative attention. So the next thing I want to talk about is nostalgia. There's so many like cartoons and shows that growing up had such a really big impact on me, and like a whole bunch of other people who are also watching it, that it's something special to them in their hearts. that even now that those shows are like over, like people still remember them and they say like, oh, that was my childhood and stuff like that. And the one that comes to mind like the most is Arthur. I love Arthur. I literally have seen every single episode, and I was watching it all the way up until that they took it off the air and canceled Arthur, which I don't understand why they would ever do such a thing. That show should have been running forever. And so one of my goals with Ornocito is to avenge Arthur. I want to just, when I start the show, my cartoon, I want to keep it going and 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 going until the end of me, because I don't like reboots. I don't like reboots. I don't like reboots. Arthur was always so special to me, and Blue's Clues, for example, it's not a cartoon, but it's a show that just like really resonates. And I just want to have a show like that matters to people and it's nostalgic. But then that's weird, because how are you going to do a nostalgic show if it's modern? Like, it's made now. But yeah, like years later, like it's still bringing people joy and people are still thinking about it and remembering it. And I just think that's really special. So the next thing I want to talk about is like, I was thinking about like celebrities and famous people who are like no longer alive, and people are like, society is like slowly forgetting about them. And for example, like obscure references. Think about, for example, like the 1950s. Think of the 1950s. I'm sure there was like some singer, Doris Gloria or something like that. And everybody in the 60s all know that singer. That's their favorite singer. That singer is like on the top of the charts. They're everywhere. Like everybody knows that singer. Everybody loves that singer. And then you think about it modern time. I never heard of Doris Gloria. Like, who is that, you know? That sort of thing. It's just really crazy. Maybe everybody knew about them and now nobody does anymore. And that's really sad. But it's just something to think about. And then thinking about celebrities who are no longer here and alive, their legacies and stuff like that. I think about Selena Selena Quintanilla. And like, I just feel like she had so much more story to tell, you know? Like, her story wasn't over. And it's just so sad what happened to her. But like, I think about like, what would it be like if like she was still here and she's like some 50-something-year-old, and like what her music would evolve into and what maybe creative ventures she might do, like if she was able to just keep living her life and keep telling her story and everything. So that's all that I have about legacy. I'm not making this video to like be gloomy or be sad or be negative or something like that, but to make you value the present. So what do I want to be known for? What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for Ornocito, having a cartoon that people love and brings them joy and that they relate to and that they laugh at and makes them smile. I want to be remembered for my Dreams podcast and being dreamy and fun. I want to be remembered being fun, and I want to be remembered for being myself, and I want people to have positive connotation and happiness when they think of Iyona Sansiove. And I want these vlogs to be seen and remembered as part of my story. So yeah, that's what matters to me. So what do you want to be remembered for? Do you care if history knows your name? Do you care about that sort of thing? Tell me in the comments. Just tell me what you think about legacy. If anything I said today in this video made you think. When I think of the legacy of Ornocito, I am proud, happy, grateful. Again, I always say like Ornocito floated to me on a cloud. I'm just really grateful and proud. That's what I think of when I think about the legacy of Ornocito. And happy. So that's gonna be it. Oh well, wait, I gotta show you my pictures. So I finished the Remy picture. I didn't finish the Tabascus picture. And I didn't start the Ducky picture. But Sustos y Sueños, an Ornocito coloring book, which is a coloring book that I wrote and illustrated about the dreams and nightmares of Ornocito and all his friends. The Sustos y Sueños coloring book is available on Amazon.